Hi everyone, the Little Sodor Studios back with another unboxing video. Today I have for you a whole bunch of eBay purchases that I've gathered over the last few months and decided that it's a good time to open them. I also got another package from eBay. Usually if they come like this, I'll save them for an unboxing video. If I just buy them opened and used, then I don't do an unboxing video. But at the end of this video, we will be looking at what I think was a pretty good deal on a large lot. I don't want to say much more than that because I want you guys to wait to the end and kind of check out this lot I ended up purchasing. So without further ado, I think we're just going to go ahead and jump into it. I have, narrow gauge, standard gauge, some really old early 2000, late 90s, all the way up into some, I want to say around 2010, maybe, up in there. Unfortunately, I didn't check all the dates, but I'm going to go ahead, open up these. I'll probably actually do these in pairs, so to speak. I'm not 100% sure how I want to do them, in truth, but I kind of figured maybe I'll divide them into pairs. Maybe I'll just do each individual, because I know last time I opened up each individual item in like its own mini section, but I'm not sure. I guess I'll see you in a second or two, and we'll see what I decide. Okay, so I just decided to start with my favorite Thomas the Tank Engine character, Edward. Now, I actually own a whole bunch of, or I already own Edward, but I made a custom Lennox character. You saw that's, I think, my first video up on YouTube, and unfortunately, I made the mistake of using, because I bought two Edwards. I ended up with two, and one had a good face like this one. You can see here, this one, really does look like Edward. And the other one kind of had a funny, not so accurate face, kind of like a very subpar, low standard face. And I accidentally used the one with the good face for the custom, because I didn't even process I thought I bought them the same year, same company, so I didn't think anything of it. And I used the good face. So I bought a character, or I bought another new Edward. This one didn't cost me much when I bought it, because Wooden Railway had not been discontinued for a long time, and I think this is one of the later versions, if not like the last version of Edward they made. So he wasn't too expensive to pick up, though if I was smart I wouldn't have had to buy him. Anyway, so we'll go ahead and open this up. This is still not too hard to open, but there we go. We'll say it's kind of fun. I didn't realize until after doing my last unboxing how much fun these actually were. So I really enjoy doing this. Now look at that. Boom. As I said before, Edward is my favorite character, and he's kind of became my favorite character as I've come reacquainted with my enjoyment of Thomas. So it's nice to have a solid Edward character, or I guess Wooden Railway figure, whatever you want to call it. Again, this is done very well. I'm very happy with the work they did on this figure, and yeah, there's not much more to say about it. Pretty much I just made a mistake, so I had to get another Edward. So, that's Edward. Let's go ahead. I'm actually going to continue on here. We'll leave it open. I'll probably do a couple characters, then I'll cut the video. A couple characters, and I cut the video. That's kind of what I decided on doing. But there was Edward. That was one of the larger items. And now we have the Sodor Fire Crew. I was really excited to get a hold of this. For whatever reason, I never picked up many vehicles as a kid when I was younger, or especially the vehicles that they didn't have any faces. Though, in truth, I was always kind of interested in the Sodor Fire Crew. I had the little fire station that came with that firefighting car. It's like a 8-wheel car. You probably know what I'm talking about if you're a Wooden Railway fan, but I got that, and I kind of always was interested in getting the tanker car, I guess, and the engine, but I just never got around to it. So now I finally got it. So let's go ahead and open this one up. I'm pretty excited. We'll see. All right, let's see. It's been so long since I've opened up some of these because, like I said, I've been saving all these up that I don't even know. I can't remember how I got into some of these. So let's see. There we go. I'm going to pull it behind the camera real fast because I feel like it's going to explode. Kind of exploded, so let's see. Huh. Well, you know, it's funny how like well secure they made these years ago, and even today, as a being much older, I still struggle to get these open sometimes. And I think anyone who's opened these, especially as a Thomas fan, some of the merchandise that's really well protected is the Bachmann models. So I was just opening up a couple of those, so this is where we're at right now. Not much of the original outside package left. I'm gonna reach up over here. I'm gonna grab a knife. I'm kind of just gonna poke a hole in it as carefully as I can. Because I see where it's connected, I see how it all is, but it's just not, I just can't gain the access I need to separate them. There we go. Trying to bust into this carefully. You know, last thing I want to do is spend, you know, 20, 30 bucks on a sealed wooden railway item and scratch it up just trying to get it out of its package. So, making progress. I got the character card for it, which is actually pretty cool, and then the old learning curve kind of, what's it called, catalog that comes with them. There we go. Boom. If I can get one free, I can definitely get the other free. So there we go. We got the tanker. Sorry, I was like right up close to the camera, so I apologize if it sounded like I was yelling into it. I gotta tell you, they don't, because nowadays I don't really buy anything outside of some of the Bachmann models with this type of packaging defenses, we'll call it. So I'm a little rusty on my protective packaging unboxing. So there we go. You got both of them out. So that's pretty nice. I love the red color on these. I'm sure it's the same as James, but you know, that's just nice. And the best part is this isn't that loose. There's nothing I hate more than when you get stuff that turns and it's really loose, and this is not, which is great. Oh, it looks like, oh yeah, I forgot, yeah, you can mess with it and you can empty the water and fill the water. I completely forgot, so I don't know which one's full and which one's empty. Looks like that's empty if you push it back, and full if you push it forward. So that's pretty cool. I forgot that even some of these little, almost you could say boring items come with fun little play features on them. So there we go. We got 2 items. I guess technically you could argue 3 opened up right now. So we got Edward and the Sodor Fire Crew. So I'm going to make a jump cut here and we'll open up a couple more characters. Okay, so next up should be 2 characters that are a lot easier to unbox. As you saw in the beginning, I have Stephanie, and I've never owned a Stephanie, and I'm really excited to finally get a hold of one. I decided to go with the older version because I think the face looks a lot more accurate on this one. Yeah, it's a little smaller, and being older, it's maybe not the most detailed look. But for whatever reason, I feel the latest version, the newer version that came out, most recent, whatever you want to call it, the one that came out after this, just doesn't capture his essence. It's very, I'm going to say chunky. Like, that's the best way I can describe it. But here we go. We got the good old classic, just some tape protecting this. Let's see. This one should be fairly easy to open. Go ahead, get my knife and just instead of messing with it, I'm just going to get a knife and slide it in there. Cut it up. There we go. So there we are. So we get the character card, which is funny, because when you look at the character card, is it just me, or is the face not the same face we got on, let's see if it focuses. That's the face on the card. Here's the face on the character. I don't think they match. It's almost like an older Thomas face that's on there, like one of the early or first Thomas faces, so that's kind of funny. But yeah, great model, great model. The best part is it was sealed, brand new in box, and so any kind of blemishes or damages, we'll say, because you can see there's a little dirty up top here. That's just all factory error stuff, and you know, it's kind of just fun to have, almost. You know, not every toy is going to roll off the assembly line perfect, and though for the most part this Stephanie is perfect, you got a little bit of that oops, or you know, not everything's 100% perfect. So that's pretty nice. That's pretty cool. Glad I got Stephanie finally, adding a long time beloved character to the collection. And next I have Wilbur. So if you've been following my channel at all, you know I've done two customs, one being Sheffield and one being Gilbert, both fan-made characters. And I ended up using my original Wilbur model, though that was kind of one of my rules, was to never use one of my original. You know, if I have this character, never use the original character I have, because you know it's taken away from your childhood. Even though I can just go ahead and buy another one like that. However, I looked at that Wilbert, my bad, got online, looked at the other Wilberts, and mine really, the face was really messed up on it. And by messed up, I mean even like factory error printing, the eyes were really wonky. So I decided to go ahead, use that older Wilbert as a custom, and go ahead here and buy a brand new in box. And I don't think Wilbert was that much, or if he was as much as, pretty much I thought he was probably perfectly priced. I had no quarrels with what I paid for him, whatever it was. And the face looks fantastic. Does look fantastic. I love this dark blue color. I really do. It's one of my favorite colors on these wooden railway models. I think Wilbert, and then Sir Handel's another character that features that darker blue and looks real nice. And then of course we have, because these were back in, let's see, 2001. That's what I thought. These were like 2000, 2001 toys, which is crazy. So 20 years later, I'm finally opening them up. They finally get to breathe that fresh air. And we have the character card. And see now Wilbert's face, let's focus, if it focuses, on the character card, really does match the Wilbert face on the actual model. So that's kind of funny how Stephanie and Wilbert's character cards differ in the almost accuracy. So yeah, because it's not Stephanie's face on the Stephanie. Maybe I feel like I'm always calling him Stephanie, like a PH sound in the middle, but it's really just Stephanie. So that's my bad. I've probably been pronouncing it wrong, but then again, I don't know. Because I feel like I've always heard it pronounced Stephanie. But when you look at it and you read it and you think about it, it's Stepney. So feel free to comment below your thoughts on that. And yeah, because I think that'd be fun. So these two are open. These are the oldest of all the items I'll be unboxing today. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to jump to the next item. Okay, so we have Stanley. Stanley was a character I wasn't sure how quick I would get him into my collection. I never had him when I was a kid. And I went out and I bought all the big Thomas movies, you know, like The Great Discovery, Calling All Engines, Blue Mountain Mystery, The Great Race. So I went out and I bought all of those, and I spent a day watching them all. And I got done watching them, and I forgot how, I'm going to say charming, because for me that's kind of what it was. Just when I reminisce about my childhood, that's the best word I always like to describe it. Charming it was to see The Great Race. Not my favorite narrator. I don't get me wrong, I like his voice, I really do, but it just feels really slow when he talks, and that's just me. That's a personal preference on me. But otherwise, his voice is phenomenal, and it does make The Great Discovery stand out as a movie, which in turn I think makes Stanley stand out pretty well. And I think Stanley, though he kind of, when he got into the episodes outside of the big movies, he kind of got the short end of the leash just with screen time. I still think he was a cool character, and I think the model of him, of course, was fantastic during the classic model series, or I guess model series, because I know some people, when they say the classic model series, they're talking about like the first 3, 4, maybe 5 seasons. But we have Stanley here. I'm going to go ahead and try to open him up. He's got that same kind of packaging as the Sodor Fire Crew, so I'll have to do most of the unboxing probably behind the camera. Here, yeah. But, so, for not having this character in my collection, I was really happy that I was able to find them for a good price. And most of these, depending on the character and how much I like them personally, will kind of come down to if I buy them in, like this, unopened since 2000, whatever. I'm trying to think what year this would have been. 2009, so yeah, that's what I thought. 2009, 2010. Unfortunately, since I stopped watching Thomas, I want to say late elementary school, middle school, at least I really stopped kind of following it. I may have every now and then pulled out the old movies for fun. But I just didn't keep up with it much after that, so my timeline is really messed up. I didn't realize how far Thomas had come in the years I'd been absent from the fan base, or from, just showing a large interest in it. So, I didn't realize, a good example is, I think, like, when CGI, I didn't realize, CGI era took over when it did. I thought it was, much later than it really was, I thought. So, finally getting back, it's taken me about a year now, because I've been back into it for about a year, but I obviously haven't started the channel up until this year. But I've been kind of using that year to catch up and try to figure out when everyone joined the series and all that. But Stanley was probably one of the last characters I saw introduced. So he was definitely a good choice to come back and pick up. Alright, let's see. Ow. There we go. Boom. So, speaking of Stanley, too, which he looks fantastic, especially for white. I'm always worried, in other aspects of my life, my other hobbies, white is always a finicky color. Especially, for a good example, it's been in the box for 10 years. Yeah, I don't know where the seller kept it, if he kept it or she kept it in a box on a shelf, kind of kept the white hidden, Stanley hidden away, just because, the sun bleaching and the sun effect. But he looks great, and he actually is longer than I would have thought. Obviously, he uses the same base as Thomas and all the other characters, but I kind of forgot how... Oh, my bad, sorry. A little too close to the camera. He was open in here, and again, just a great model. So this is the 2009 model, and probably my favorite. I've seen some of the other ones in some other Wooden Railway series, and I know a couple of the guys out there, they went ahead and they updated to the... I think the most recent or the last version Wooden Railway made. But for me, I didn't like the face on that, and so I went with this guy. He looks fantastic. And of course, I think, I'm not sure when the character card stopped exactly, but there's Stanley's character card. Looks exactly like him. And actually, these are pretty cool. I wish I still had more. My old ones, I have very few of them left. And now whether that's because I threw them away or I was just careless with them, I'm not sure. But there is Stanley. So let's go ahead and jump into our next character. So next up we have Peter Sam. These all have that Stanley or the newer, like, late 2000s, early teens packaging, which for whatever reason are super complicated for me to open. I don't know why. You know, it's just plastic and cardboard, but they package them in well. So I am going to go ahead and break up these last three into their own little sections like I did for Stanley. Just because I can only record up to 10 minutes of video, and it took me 5 minutes to get Stanley open and briefly talk about him. So I got 3 characters here, and these are all the narrow gauge characters I bought. So first one's Peter Sam. I went ahead and I bought all the ones that appear in CGI, at least my favorite 2, which is Peter Sam, and you'll see my other favorite character, my second favorite character, or third, I don't know. My second place is kind of tied. But let's right now talk about the number 1 character I've come to love, Peter Sam. And that's just because I really like his voice in the CGI era. I love the voice they give him. And I've always liked his personality. Very caring, kind of a gullible little engine, but always ready to do the right thing and happy to help out. So Peter Sam really grew on me. Plus I love the darker green. You know, you got Henry and Percy, which are the brighter green. I'm going to go ahead and start opening this as I'm talking too. The brighter green, but then you got Peter Sam here with the darker, or what I sometimes like to refer to as an earth green. So I like that green a lot better. That kind of green. So there we go. Yeah, well, this one's coming apart a lot easier. Boom. So we got our character card. Fantastic. Yeah, I don't know what happened. This one just busted apart, no problem. So here we are. So it looks like I might have to touch up on the eye, because something I noticed and didn't notice when I bought it. So look at that eye. It's pretty... Oh, maybe you can't really tell on here. But in person it's pretty bad. Let me go ahead and look at it. Yeah, it's kind of just a simple printing error. I'll just get some glossy paint and boop. I think we'll be fine there. But I was really happy to get this because my Peter Sam's all beat up, and it's the early kind of 2000, probably like 2005 Peter Sam. But he's well used, and he doesn't have the square funnel. This one's got the square funnel, which is why I was really excited to get a hold of finally. And yeah, so that's Peter Sam. Came apart a lot quicker and a lot easier than I thought. So we'll go ahead and open up my tied for second place favorite character, the narrow gauge railway, Sir Handel. He's just a grumpy guy. I always liked his color in the series. It's not a dark blue, and it's not the bright, it's kind of sky blue like Thomas, Edward, and Gordon. He's got that nice dark blue, almost purple, especially when I was a kid. Purple was my favorite color. Now blue is. I've become a... just changed, you know, because a lot of times your favorite stuff changes. But kind of liking the color purple. It was almost... It was a more purpley blue. That's probably not really accurate and fair to say, but that's kind of how I always viewed it. So we got his character card here. Pretty good. And, you know, he's always a grumpy fella. He's kind of he'll do the right thing when he has to when the chips are down, but he's going to complain his whole way through it. And especially, I think something that's really made me enjoy this character is the fan series, how they portray him. Very grumpy. The voice actors they get for him do a tremendous job. I will say, I think his voice gets really deep in the official series when it hits CGI, and so that's kind of weird. But I keep forgetting that the narrow gauge engines are, my bad, much older than some of the standard gauge engines. So that's something I never grasped as a kid, because I think when you're a kid, even though you hear, oh, they're 150 years old, you're like, oh, they're smaller, so they must be younger. So that's kind of how I always interpret it in a naive fashion. But here's Sir Handel. He looks fantastic. No issues there. Nothing at all. Looks fantastic. Something I find interesting is, so this part's black here. You know, you got your piston, and then this is black. But on Peter Sam, you got a little bit of the rods. You can see here kind of like the coupling rods and whatnot. Oh, here you go. You can see that damage I'm talking about right there in the eye. Unfortunately, either I missed that when I was looking at it, or they had it angled just right, because in all fairness, it was towards the back of the box. So I think in general, trying to get a photo of it's kind of hard. So unfortunately, I missed that, and I didn't notice by the time it got in, but that's what happened. And this character is going to be much easier to open, so I guess we can do it all in one shoot. Look at me saying I can't do anything, and then boom, busting through it. And finally, Smudger. I've never owned a Smudger. Recently, I've dug more deep into the myth that is Smudger, supposedly. I know the argument of whether or not he's real or if he's just a made-up engine for a story. But got a hold of Smudger, and I'm really excited. Since, again, I've recently read all of the Reverend's books. I read a couple of them when I was a kid, but, you know, I didn't, you know, as a kid, you might not have them all, depending on when you got into Thomas, and sometimes it was just easier I grew up on the television series, in truth. But, of course, I went back and I read all of the original Wilbur Awdry books, like any appropriate fan will say will do. And it's interesting that Stanley, who is Smudger in the Railway series, and in the TV series, Smudger takes Stanley's place. Kind of how they changed him up a little bit, obviously for production reasons. But looks nice. Love this green. It's a nice green. It's not as dark as Peter Sam, but not as bright as Percy and Henry. So that's really cool. Really nice. It's a very basic design too. You know, he's very reminiscent of Rheneas's design, but different. You know, he's designed to be American, so I got to look into more of his exact base. This character is phenomenal. Looks great. And there's just nothing like this sleek paint. It's wonderful to look at. Obviously, as a kid, you play with them, you get them chipped. But opening up all these and you see this nice sleek paint, it's really cool to see. Oops, sorry. I forgot the camera, just the way it's all angled. I always set them down a little too close to the camera. But boom, there we are. They are looking... He looks fantastic. So if you made it this far, we're going to go ahead and we're going to get into the fun surprise at the end. Now, I opened up the narrow gauge characters at the end. You'll see why, as I keep saying, because it connects to what you're about to see. So let's check it out. So as I said in the beginning of this video, I only tend to unbox the unopened characters, brand new in-box characters. And that's just because I don't have to worry about my name and my address getting out to all the crazy people online. Not saying you're all crazy, but occasionally you'll find that one guy who gets your address, and either they show up at your door or they start sending you, you know, weird letters and packages in the mail. And I'm not into that stuff, unfortunately. So we got here. This is as far as I opened it. It came in a box, and then they came in a giant wrapping. So I'm going to go ahead and open up this wrapping. I was able to get for less than $100, including shipping, almost every single narrow gauge character from the early 2000s style. So this, not the CGI style, and when they were a little smaller. So, you know, I think a lot of people noticed that when they went to CGI, and even later on when they were designing the narrow gauge characters, they beefed them up a little bit. But this is the old classic ones where the faces are smaller, kind of like the Stephanie I have. So I'm going to go ahead, open this up. I'm actually really excited because, again, for $100, the only characters I believe I didn't get is the old Rheneas and Bertram. But I own Bertram, the tender version, and I didn't get the tender version. I think this one came with the tank engine version. And I already have Rheneas in CGI form. Finding him in the old style like this has proven very challenging. For whatever reason, either no one bought them or there weren't many of them produced. Because whenever I look for them, they're extremely expensive. So look at all of that in there. All right. I got to give props to this gentleman for packaging. So we got a whole bunch of them. All of them are individually wrapped. So I think this was worth it. Basically, and why I say that is because when I bought Duke sealed in box and Bertram sealed in box, I think I spent somewhere between 70 and 80 each, so a piece. So I spent like $100-something bucks on just the two of them. Now these were all opened, including the Duke I get, but I think it was like $95.64, something like that, after shipping. So that was fantastic. I'm going to go ahead and try to cut all these open real fast. And I do get characters I don't have. Yes, I have these characters, and even these characters are beat up. So it's kind of cool. I get these. They were in fantastic condition for being opened. Some of the freight cards are off to the side because those are the boring parts. Let's see. We'll open up a character I don't have. So this will be the Bertram, the tank engine style Bertram. And I mean, look at this. This, you know, they claim to be used, opened, and look at how nice he looks. It's just phenomenal. And personally, I didn't want this version of Bertram, which is why I sought out the tender version, just because when I think he's only in that one episode, the Toby's Discovery episode. And in the Toby's Discovery episode, he's just a repainted Duke. Now, I know Britt Allcroft, you know, said he was supposed to be a tank engine, but I kind of went off of what we saw officially on TV, because at the end of the day, that's how we're all going to remember him. And that's how I remember him. And we got Ivo Hugh. I don't have an Ivo Hugh. And again, look at this. For being opened, probably played with a little bit, maybe not, maybe just opened and put on a shelf, but looks phenomenal. Again, I got all these for 95 bucks. I can't believe it. I think one of these or two of these characters have a little bit of damage on them, but then we get into characters I already own, like Sir Handel, the old Sir Handel. It's impossible to find one of these for a decent price or even in box. You know, he's got a little scuff here, and sorry, I'm like, I don't know if that was a scuff or something else, but there, that's just like a little dirt, and then up front here. But otherwise, fantastic condition for, you know, its age. Again, this is like an early, you know, 2000, 2001 model. Fantastic. So then we got, let's see, Peter Sam. And, ooh, oh, that could have been big. Peter Sam just came flying out. So this is the version I have when I was talking about the other Peter Sam. But obviously mine's beat up and used because I was a kid and I played with it. So it's great to have kind of this older version of Peter Sam now in pretty good condition. So I was excited. So I don't know if I was the first one to find this, first one to really recognize and, oh, hey, that's a great price. Even though I actually have all these characters, just not in good condition, you know, well-used condition, but these are fantastic. But I was like, $100 for all these, especially because I paid $80 for Duke alone. In box, I was like, I think that's a great price. So I'm going to buy it. Even though there is no Rheneas. Now, if there was Rheneas in there, you know, you probably would have cranked it up another 10, 20, 30 bucks, but this is phenomenal. Look at that. Skarloey. So I own, this is what I owned as a kid, these characters right here. So I have these in my collection, but not to this quality, in a very well used condition. So it's great to get these these four characters, which these two specifically go for a crazy amount online, understandably so, but just a crazy amount online, and to find them in pretty much what I would call, you know, brand new, unboxed condition is just phenomenal. What we got here, we got Bertram's Duke's Tender. And Duke does kind of tie for Sir Handel in my second spot. It's hard because I like the TV show and Railway series Duke better than the TV and Railway series Sir Handel, but the fans, the way the fans portray Sir Handel, have made me really enjoy the character too. And I've always liked the look of Sir Handel. Initially, when I was a kid, he was my favorite narrow gauge locomotive. So Duke does have a big gash taken out here, and then he's got a little bit back here, one on the side here. But the tender's pretty much good. And like I said, I already have a Duke in really good condition, so it was kind of just more of a tag along to get, okay, for $100 I can get another Duke in solid condition. And then since we got Ivo Hugh came with, I think, these kind of circus cars, or like a hippo and something else, so I ended up, they just came with it. And he had this little circus car, box car. It's not really my thing. I could care less for it. But it's a little dirty up top. But it's nice, and obviously, he can charge that extra little bit for it. And we have, this one's the hippo. I think that's the big thing too that kept me from buying Ivo Hugh. Was that a lot of times he came with, like, a good version came with all this stuff. And I was like, I don't really want all this stuff. I don't need the hippo car. I don't need the zoo car. But again, coming across in the deal like this, it was like, you know what? Again, worth it. Way worth it. Because, yeah, I can argue that these cars offset the cost of the other characters. Or I could just say, hey, I'm getting these freight cars for free, just based on... And I get the number 4 scrap car. So I think I'm missing, I think Bertram usually came with 2, and there is no scrap with it. But again, I knew that when I bought it. And this is just, I think, a great looking freight car to begin with. This nice dark blue. Very nice. So that is that. So, as I've kind of stated 100 times over probably already, I thought this was a fabulous deal. Pretty much the whole narrow gauge crew minus one. The older early 2000 style with some freight cars for $100. Especially because when you look at some other lots, they're asking $100 for either you get more characters in super shoddy conditions, or for about the same price or just a little less, you kind of get a couple good, or a hodgepodge. Even you got Henry's a tender attached to Percy, and you got Gordon without a, you know what I mean? So it's crazy. This was a fantastic buy. I was so happy I found it. I mean, pretty much what I did is when I found it, I got onto my bank account and I looked to see if I could get it. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and end out this unboxing. Alright, so there's a lot to get in here, but I think this was a fantastic haul. I really did feel like a kid Christmas morning or on my birthday, whatever you think the best analogy would be to just opening up a large amount of gifts. When I first did my first unboxing video, I did feel that way. It was really nice to kind of have a couple items together, open them all up at once. But this was truly phenomenal. Getting that awesome big haul, it just went on and on about at the end of this video, or just before this. And I gotta say, this was probably one of my, for right now, probably is one of my greatest, more recent wooden railway moments in time, for sure. But I really hope you enjoyed watching. Sorry that this is a kind of a long video, especially I think even compared to the last unboxing, it was quite a bit. But I think a lot of people, or I'm hoping a lot of you agree that getting all those old narrow gauge engines was a true triumph for a wooden railway collector, and I was really happy to get all of those. But comment your thoughts down below. What do you think? Was it a good deal? $95 for pretty much every engine but Rheneas and some freight cars and pretty much pristine condition? Or was that just way too much and, I should only spent like $60? Let me know what you think down below. Also, let me know down in the comments, if you have made it this far, if you would like to see how I store all these engines. I'm still changing up my storage methods, but I'd be more than happy to show you how I store all my wooden railway carriages, especially with my kind of limited space. So, thank you for watching. Comment down below. Like this video if you enjoyed it. And of course, thank you for watching.